Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to USA Global TV, home of Talking Heads. And welcome to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio out of New York. Hello, Chris Roberts. We are thrilled that we will be celebrating 1,000 episodes on Business Talk Radio tomorrow at 2:15. This has been quite a journey. As we started off, I was on the radio by myself with Business Talk Radio. They interviewed me every Friday, and I ended up taking over the show, and now we're on TV as well. So it's been a cool journey. So our show today is A World of Difference. This is such an important platform and such a wonderful opportunity to hear from people across the world. And I have to thank my co-host and friend, Hardeep, because he is the one who thought of this wonderful title. And we are so happy to have you on this journey with us and part of the team at USA Global TV. Welcome, Hardeep. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Jacalyn. I hope you're well too, and I'm delighted to be here today.
Well, you look very rested and very healthy, which is important, especially in times like this. And you've brought a wonderful guest. But before we bring her out, I want to spotlight you and have you share with us a couple of things. First of all, the reason why doing the show is so important to you. You've had a post that's gone completely viral over on LinkedIn about your son. And then I also saw another really phenomenal, profound posting that you had today. I want to talk about that a little bit as well. And then finally, about your work at Kaleidoscope Group.
Thank you so much, Jacalyn. So I'm delighted to be the co-host with you on this show. I think, for us, the world that we live in today is all about celebrating people's differences and diverse backgrounds. And the aim of this show is really to sort of bring people on that are from different backgrounds, disability, whatever the diverse background may be, but that are people that have done some fantastic things and that are inspiring others and that are change makers. But they're kind of the everyday person that's a change maker. It doesn't mean that they've had to be somebody really famous. They could be the person next door, but actually there's somebody that's wanting to do something to make a great social impact in life. And that's really the ethos of this show, is to sort of give people the voice to be able to show how people with disabilities are actually thinking differently and really revolutionizing the world. And my driving force for doing this is the little boy that you see in the background over there, Ishan Rai, who is my son, who turned 15 years old this month. He is severely disabled, and when he was born, he helped me to understand that there was a life that was much, much bigger than just earning money and chasing money and going on wonderful holidays. So we're very, very purpose-driven now. I'm a very purpose-driven individual. That's one of the reasons that we set up Kaleidoscope, which is to really help people with disabilities to achieve their dreams through realizing their potential. So Kaleidoscope is a very aspirational company, and that sort of really helps me to introduce Tarita today as a very aspirational entrepreneur, Jacalyn, and somebody who I've known, I think it's probably coming up to 5 years now. And what's amazing about Tarita and her journey is that, despite whatever disability she has had to endure over the years, she's managed to run a business that's actually been really quite successful. And then, of course, was naturally hit by COVID, like most other businesses, and then is sort of trying to take off after COVID. So I think it's been a fascinating journey with Kaleidoscope so far. And I'm just very excited that we have a platform through which we can start sharing other people's stories as well, Jacalyn.
Thank you very much for that. And we're going to bring Tarita out just a second. But another question I have for you is, you've had a number of people reaching out to you after the post, and people can go over to LinkedIn and they can look up your name and they can see what we're talking about. Who is it that you really would like to reach out to? Because you have so many people now that are saying, I need your help. I want to do this. I want to do that. Who do you want to reach out to you?
Wow, that's a brilliant question, Jacalyn. I think there's probably okay. So the first people that actually I really want to reach out to are parents of disabled children, or children with special needs, as we're calling it now, that feel the need to share, that feel the need to be amongst other parents that are going through similar problems, and to get strength from others. Because actually being a parent of a child with a disability can be a very, very lonely journey, especially if the child is just born. So I think I'd love to be able to reach out to parents first. The second group of people that I'd love to reach out to are companies that are thinking about recruiting people with disabilities, because actually that's a really important place right now. You know, there's lots of different sectors that are struggling to find enough people, and there's a lot of people with disabilities that are looking for employment, but we need employers to think in a way where they're more open to hiring people with disabilities. And I suppose my final group of people is investors that are open-minded investors, because you know, this disability world and investing in it is a pretty new world. There's not a fantastic track record as far as current modern day investing is concerned, although there are, according to my LinkedIn post earlier, which we'll talk about later. But you know, in terms of conventional investing, there's not much of a track record. So investors that are more social impact minded, that are more venture philanthropy minded, still want returns but want to do things that are good at the same time, we'd love to hear from them as well, Jacalyn.
Thank you. That was very succinct. I love it. Call to action, and who should answer the call. Thank you. All right, so let's bring out Tarita and hear what she has to say. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jacalyn. Thank you for having me.
It's a
Hi,
pleasure.
Tarita. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again as well, my friend. Wonderful to see you both.
Congratulations on your successful business. We'd love to hear more about this.
Thank you very much. My company is basically to help people with various disabilities. And I'm going to tell you that we took the word disability out of our business. So we arrange travel for people that have specific requirements. It makes people really understand that there are people who want to see the world, have the time, the money, the resources, but nobody is there to actually assist them. They can walk or roll into any travel agency and say, look, I'd like to visit Egypt. And they're in a wheelchair and they're going to get in a very...
Oh, she's
Looks
not,
like
her
we've
device
lost
isn't
her.
connected. Yes. Well,
okay.
hopefully she's back. Here she is.
So,
That's okay. Welcome back.
thank you. So I started the company 15 years ago. And the reason that I started it was I left social work because I have MS and it became very, very difficult to remain in the industry. So my neurologist said, find something that you really love and that's less stressful. And I've traveled the world since I was, oh my gosh, a little tiny. And I knew that this was something that I loved doing and I loved sharing. So as MS began to affect my own travel, personally, I realized that nobody was really looking at us and respecting the fact that we want to travel. We have the desire to. It was ignored. And the travel industry still is a bit daft or unaware of what the financial potential is, what the social impact is, and what they can continue to do with people, because people who have specific requirements when they travel, they're very, very loyal. If you book them travel and they love you, they will be back. multiple times. So the company has done well, not because of huge amounts of investment. It's been because I pick up the phone and I'm very tenacious, and I phone and I email and I share my passion that this is something that has to happen in the world. And it is slowly evolving. We are getting travel agencies who really see this market now as maybe another market to look at post-COVID, because things sort of slowed down. However, we're actually busy. We have a lot of people who have specific requirements who want to travel. So it's a different aspect of travel that agencies really should add to what they already are doing. It's going to give them multiple benefits, benefits that I think once they realize that this is something that is really, really doable, they're really going to jump in and want to do it. So people with, as they say, disabilities, typically, if you read statistics, most of them have post-secondary education. So speaking of employing them, they are loyal. They take less sick days, believe it or not, even though they may have some type of requirement themselves. But they are very, very knowledgeable. They want to learn. They want to be part of a company that is going to respect them just the same and want to learn what they have to offer. I actually just had a discussion with Royal Bank of Canada around social impact, and they have hired quite a few people that have disabilities. And they wanted to know, what are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? And so I said, well, what you're doing right is this. What you're doing wrong is I see nobody in a wheelchair or somebody with a walker or seeing eye dogs anywhere. You're not using that as including people with disabilities in your marketing. So it's wonderful to say that you are welcoming and you are inclusive and diverse. However, what you're putting out to the world does not say that. So that's something that I think really, really needs to change. Is
how do they receive that information?
Absolutely happy to learn. And that's what was wonderful is this Royal Bank of Canada is one of the largest banks here. And they were very, very keen to listen to what I was telling them. And I said, you know what? I challenged them. I said, interview people that have disabilities and then take a look at what their qualifications are. How do they come across during this interview? I myself, MS, unfortunately, makes me slur. So I always tell people, if I sound like a drunken sailor, it's not really true. It's just MS. But this is part of me. But I have MS, it does not have me. So that's the way to really, really look at the world. And the Royal Bank is open. And they are actually going to take me up on my suggestion, which is to put out to companies, societies. There's so many nonprofits that support people with disabilities. And so they're going to put the word out there that they are looking for people who are, or good at mathematics, are people. They like to pick up the phone and talk to clients. So there's so many different things.
Oh.
Just at a really interesting point.
Yes. Well, we're waiting for her. I want to say hi to Michael Goldstein, who just reached out. It's nice to have you here. And Tarita's back. Nope,
There we go. I'm here.
Yeah, so I think you were just about to make a really great point.
My point, I want to tell you what our mantra is for the company, is that travel should be inclusive, not exclusive.
Mm.
And that is so important because we have so many clients. One of the clients who actually really impacted me personally, he has MS and he has multiple doctorate degrees, and he was a history professor. And he wanted to go to Italy and actually see the paintings, etc., face to face, right up close. So we planned a holiday for him, and he said, one day he said I was at the university, and he said, and kids thought that I was stupid. There was, and he said, what really, really bothered me because I wanted them to realize, I'm not stupid. I may sound that way to you. However, I am very educated. So I said to him, the next time that happens, you go up to them and you say, look, here's an IQ test. You take it, I'll take it. Let's see who really is stupid. And that's very, very true. I've spent a lot of money on education, and just actually, this is something quite interesting, is when I was diagnosed with MS, I was 29, and I had accepted a position in Dubai. I was going to be going over there. They were going to be building one of the first schools for children with autism. And that was kind of I've done a lot of work in that particular field. So when I was diagnosed with MS, sort of sat back and thought, maybe it's not really wise to leave the country, because when you're first diagnosed, they tell you, we have no idea what the type of disease you're going to have, whether you be in a wheelchair in a year or whether you'll walk for the rest of your life. They don't have any idea. They tell you the first 7 years of your disease will tell us what to expect. So I stayed put, and you know what? I think everything happens for a reason. Just as Hardeep has formed Kaleidoscope because of his son, there is a reason for what I'm doing. And I think that I fervently believe, actually, there's a reason that I am to use my disability, my education, to actually help people to travel the world. And that's what I love doing. And there's nothing more impactful than inspiring people with disabilities who really never thought they would ever be able to do the things they can do. And they're absolutely blown away when I tell them things like going to Rome or going to Italy and actually wanting to do some things that you don't think would be all that accessible. But the world is truly changing, and I have to say that Europe is exceptional at really being an inclusive destination. And of course, the U.S. has the ADA. They have a law and place that if you do not accommodate people that have different requirements, the odds are they'll sue you. And in Canada just last year, actually, we actually finally have a law in place for Canadians with disabilities. So slowly that's going to evolve, and it's time, because it's about respect. I pay taxes just like everybody else does. There was something in England, I'm sure that Hardeep maybe saw it as well. It was the Purple Pound. It came out and it was all about help us spend our money. And that's what it's all about, is help me spend my money. And when you hinder people from traveling because of your own bias, they're not going to spend money with you. So it's about inclusivity and being welcoming and accommodating, because that will really, really expand your business dramatically.
Can I ask a question, Tarita? You've said so much there that's incredible. So much value add in terms of people understanding your business. You said a word that I want to pull out, and that word is tenacious. Because I don't think I know anybody, Jacalyn, very few people that are as tenacious as Tarita. And she had been reaching out to Kaleidoscope for years, and we built a relationship over a long period of time, and that was a very supportive one and a very nurturing one. And sort of, I wanted her to do well, and she wanted us to do well. And I think that, you know, Tarita, when I see you, your tenacity, your drive, your determination to make your business succeed is absolutely unbelievable. And I want to say that because, you know, you mentioned your multiple sclerosis and how it affects you. And I've seen sort of different ups and downs that you've been through, and yet you have still managed to keep your business going in the way you have. Where do you find the strength to continue? Because a lot of people listening will be thinking that, you know, if you've got MS, how are you managing to run this business? And I know you've got a couple of people helping you, but you are the person that's been running this business primarily for you know, 12, 13, 14 years. Where do you find that strength and drive to continue, Tarita?
You know, in all honesty, my faith, I have a strong faith, and I believe that I call it my bucket, my faith bucket. So whenever I'm feeling really, really exhausted, which is most days, I dig down and you pull it out, because it is in us. And no matter what our disability is, I find, because I know that me feeling sorry for myself when I'm having a relapse, I still come into my office, as much as my neurologist, she always says to me, you know what, the reason that you are still walking, the reason that you are still talking, the reason that you have a business is because you have a drive, and that drive is what is telling MS, you know what, back off, I'm busy, I've got a company to run. And
I love that.
that's what it's really all about. And I thank you so much, Hardeep, for those wonderful words. And when I met Hardeep and his beautiful son, Isha, I call him my rainbow, because he has a smile. When you see him smile, no matter what kind of a day you've had.
Oh, another cliffhanger. We're not doing this on purpose, folks.
Oh my goodness.
I have to say, I am so impressed and blown away by the level of effort that she's taking to get organizations to realize they have to be inclusive. Because somebody else might say, I'm just one person. What could I possibly do? What kind of impact am I going to have? Or I'm too tired, or I'm sick, I don't feel well. And she's saying no to all of that. She's saying, I will be the champion. I am the champion. That's really amazing.
Yeah, I'm hoping she's going to come back in a minute. I agree with you, Jacalyn, and she is literally a force of nature. And I know I say that about most people that we bring on the program, but she really is. And I've watched in the last few months, I've worked more closely with Tarita, Jacalyn, and I've actually watched, you know, how her disability has affected her almost on a daily basis. And I tell you, this is one of those situations where behind the scenes, people are totally clueless about what's really going on. What they see is the professional, the knowledge, the experienced lady that you see in front of you is what they see. They don't see what goes on behind the scenes. And I think that when she's talking to companies like the Royal Bank of Canada, as she just said, you know, she's got a powerful and an influential voice, right? And that's something that she's created. It's not because she's got a huge company behind her, Jacalyn, right? It's because she has got that drive, and she has got that passion, and she has got that determination. And I love the way she just said about MS, back off, I'm busy. That was incredible, wasn't it? In the way she said that.
It definitely was. She's back. Yay.
Excellent.
Welcome back.
I'm sorry, it's been a yo-yo. Technology and I broke up years ago. So.
Well, I'm going to remind you of where you were, because you were talking about Ishin and the rainbows. Oh no.
We'll take a commercial break, and hopefully she'll be back after that. That'd be great. All right, we are going to actually watch a music video of Sir Tony Moore. I love this. I don't know if I played it for you yet, Hardy, but it's called Never Gonna Say Goodbye. And Tony Moore is a phenomenon. He's over in the UK, and he's just writes beautiful music. So let's take a look, and then we'll be right back on A World of Difference. Sent me a link to that before it was actually public. And it was, I think, 3 o'clock in the morning there in the UK when he sent it to me. And I thought, what's he doing up at this time? And anyway, I listened to it because it was only an audio file. And I just started to cry. I just thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So then when he actually produced it and filmed it, he sent it to me. And I shared this with you because it's public information. None of those things were actually real. He was in a room by himself with a green screen that was on the floor and on the wall, and everything you see, he added in, which
amazing.
So when you watch it again and you see that, it's truly incredible. He's in one room that has nothing in it but green screens.
But that's talent. That's what you call talent, right? I mean, singer, the piano playing, that's the incredible thing about creative people, is that they can do so much more than what you think. But I think from the words that he wrote, from the way that he sung it, it feels like it's a very, very personal song. And it actually reminds me of Celine Dion, because, very sadly, she lost her husband. I think it was last year at some point. And her new album, Jacalyn, the words and the way that she sings it is so different from anything that she's ever sung before. And it feels this way with Tony. I haven't heard any of his other music, but it just sounds like there's something that's lost there, and he's sort of singing with real heart.
You
really
just
loved it.
Eyes when he's looking directly at you and he's singing, his eyes, because his eyes tell you 1,000 words.
Yeah.
His eyes, and you could see, I could see pain in his eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Tarita, you were telling us. I know you said you were saying about Ishan and you calling him Rainbow and his smile, and you always say that when you message me. You're like, "How's the little rainbow?" And that's really sweet of you.
It's true. I'm not trying to be sweet. It's on the Hallmark card. It is fact. When he smiles, anytime I see him smiling, and I think, you see this lovely little boy who's never going to be married, never going to have children, never going to be able to do all the things that people take for granted, yet he grins as if the whole world is there for him. And it's amazing. it truly is amazing because when I first saw him years ago, I told Hardeep, oh, he's got an amazing smile. But as he's grown and as he's become a young man, a quite handsome young man too, he's very, that smile, you must see it because it truly is, it's dazzling.
Do you know something that someone said to me recently, Tarita? I didn't share this with you. You know that post of Ishan's that went viral. So there was a father that that was very affected by his child with a disability in lots of different ways, and he went to our website, and on our website we have this short video. And the first 5 to 10 seconds is of Ishan laughing. And it was actually the first laugh he ever did, which was about 15 or 16 months. And he actually said he has cut that laughter into a short video and he's got it on his playlist. And every day he listens to that to give him strength. I could not believe it. I was like, goodness, that's to me, that was just a innocent video of Ishan laughing. But to somebody else, that laughter had made a difference to such an extent that he created a little video and put it onto his playlist. I just couldn't, it was remarkable.
I've seen that one and it's a full belly laugh. Like
it is.
Jacalyn, he was full belly laughing and it's wonderful. You must see it.
Well, you know, we were talking, one of the things you were talking about, Tarita, that was really interesting is you used the word drive, okay? And Ishan and the good Lord are the two things that drive me. And, you know, you were saying about drive and you have drive, but is there anything in particular that you've experienced in your life that has given you that drive? What is it that, because I love the way Jacalyn and I were just saying earlier, we love the way that said, you were saying, MS, I'm too busy for you, you know, but where do you get that drive from? You know, because for you to have been doing this for 15 years and having watched your business dip, you know, prior to COVID and then sort of rebuilding it again, that's not an easy journey. Something's got to be driving you. And what would you say that inner feeling really is? Where do you get that from?
I get that from my father, from my dad. My dad passed away when he was only 47. And he was injured at work on the job, and his back was, he could not, couldn't walk very well, had to walk with crutches. But he always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So he had a little, he started a business, and, you know, I have to share this with you. But one day he hired this fellow and the two of them got together and they were sitting down writing or drawing sketches. But he had designed, and my dad in his head, a chair that vibrated and heated so that when you had a sore back, you sat on it. Unfortunately, it was never, ever, I can't remember what the word is that you have to be patented. It was never patented, so unfortunately it never went anywhere. But I know that if you look in my office, everywhere in my office is pictures of my dad. The way that I look at it in my heart is that we're in this together. So he's with me, and I always say to him, okay, Dad, let's get on with this. And he had a drive that just was amazing, and he smiled even when in pain. You could see in his eyes that he was in pain, but he still would come to our concerts. He would still drive and pick us up from school. He would still chase down any boy that came near the house. So he had great drive, and so he truly is my aspiration for continuing what he wanted to do. So it is in many ways history repeating itself because he was injured and I, of course, was diagnosed with MS, which cut my plans for my life. It didn't cut them short, it changed them. And that's the way that I look at it. So my drive is that I want to have made a change. So when I leave this world, somebody will say, you know what, there was a company years ago that first started and was booking travel for people that were blind or, you know, deaf or in wheelchairs. And I remember that. That's what I want. I want to leave behind a positive impact. It doesn't have to be something that my name is attached to it, although that would be nice. But I would like it to be something that has truly created an impact. I think that there's many businesses in this world, companies especially, that are being run by people with disabilities. The one thing that we all have in common is our disability to backseat to our passion for being an entrepreneur. And that's the drive. If you have the drive, anything is possible. It's funny, one of my investor who actually is in the US, I left him probably 10 messages on LinkedIn. Hadn't heard from him, and I thought, you know what, it's okay. I'm gonna nicely harass him. And he finally did actually reach back out and invested in companies. He's one of my partners, so he's a lovely fellow.
Yeah, as long as I've known you, Tarita, I didn't know that story about your father and the drive, and that was so beautiful. The way that you shared that with us, it was incredible. And and I think, wherever he is and however he's watching you, I am sure that he is so incredibly proud of what you're doing. And it's funny what you say about having the photos around, because I've got a picture of my grandparents, and every day when I walk in and out, I always say, hi grandpa, hi grandma. You know what I mean? Is they're just there, even though they're not physically there, but you feel that in some way. And I think that this is another point to get out for people that are listening, is that this thing about drive and motivation is critical, right, for any entrepreneur to succeed, because I'm sure you've been through many stages where you probably thought, I just want to pack it all in. It'd be easier to go and work for a travel agency, do something else. But that drive is what has continued to keep you going. And that leads me to another question I'd love to ask you, Tarita, is that in this post-COVID world, although we're still in COVID, but in this world where we're trying to get back to some level of normality, there is an increasing number of travel agents that are trying to accommodate people with disabilities, because I think they're recognizing that actually this is a significant market that has been ignored for many, many years. How do you manage to continue to keep yourself different from some of those other agents that are out there so far? Because you do have lots of USPs, but what would you say makes you really different, Tarita?
I think what makes us different is that there are companies that will help people take a cruise or help people do a trip to Disneyland. We do the world. So if somebody wants to do Mount Everest, we have suppliers that actually help us for them to actually do things to get to a point on Everest. And those are things that no one else is doing, is that no one has the right to tell anyone, you cannot go there. You cannot do this. So somebody says to me, I'd like to go and visit Nepal. And we have great suppliers. And so we say, look, we can certainly help you with that. We can use equipment to maybe make life a little easier for you. However, you need to know that there are some obstacles that you're going to face. And when they are told all of this and they say, yep, doesn't matter, I still want to do it. That's the difference, is that we do not say or limit where we go or what we do. I don't believe in limitations. Limitations are what we want to get rid of. Nobody should have limitations put on them. That's all.
That's beautiful.
Brilliant.
That's really beautiful.
Something I'd like to ask you is, as a business owner myself, it's challenging to have your own business, right? There's so many things that people, if you don't have your own business, you have no idea, just here in the States, about annual reports that you have to file or registrations you have to, and you have to stay up on top of everything. So Tarita, I'm just wondering if you could give our audience just a few tips, just in general, about starting a business and then maintaining it, because as we're reading, people are leaving the workforce in droves, right? They're leaving, they're not happy, and they're starting their own business. What tips can you share with them?
I think the very first the most important thing I believe is find a mentor. Find somebody who is already doing something similar, who will take some time to give you some tips on how to manage your time management, and also not giving up is the biggest thing, because you are going to be facing people that will say to you, well, no, I'm sorry, I don't think that this is of interest to us, but you still have to talk to them and tell them, well, you may not be of interest right now, but it will be. You have to really plan, have a good idea. It doesn't have to be an idea that is something that is large or huge. It may be that you want to just have a little stand that sells popcorn. Doesn't matter. But that little stand that sells popcorn, you'll start out just selling popcorn. Then maybe you'll want to have it so that you're expanding your business so that you are now delivering popcorn to schools, or you are working with theaters, whatever it may be. It's write down your ideas, and right by my on my bedside table, I always manage to have pen and paper, because ideas will come to me in the middle of the night. I write them down and follow, just to have the belief that you are going to run into these people and say no, but keep on going until you find that person that says yes. And that's what I did. And that person is Hardeep.
Aww.
Wow, that's really beautiful, Tarita.
It's
Thank
beautiful.
It's a, you know, it is, and as Hardeep can attest, I will say to him some days, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm so very tired of booking travel. I want to do something different. And he'll say to me, you know what? I understand. He'll give me a little bit of a pep talk to get going again. And I do. And you do have days when I think, oh, when can they do something different? And I have a huge background and lots of education. So I think maybe I'd like to go back and do this or consulting, or I'd love to do what Hardeep does. I'd love to work with entrepreneurs to help them achieve what they want to achieve. So I think that the biggest point is find someone who believes in you. It could be an extra neighbor, it could be a nonprofit, but there are people out there that will support your dreams, and just start with them, talk to them, and when you face those walls, just realize that those walls may be there right now, but I bet you when you start to build up, become more successful, that wall is going to start to come down. And to give you an example is, I was very nicely harassing one of the travel mentors, I guess, or travel managers at the AARP, which is the American Association of Retired People, because I thought, you know what, that's my market. And so probably about 10 years ago, I sent him the first message on LinkedIn, and then a few years later, sent another one. Well, when he was approached by it's called Focusrite, they do a plenary on different types of entrepreneurs and different types of travel. And so he thought of me. And so he reached out to me and he said, you know what, Tarita, this would be a really, really good thing for you to be on. So me harassing him was good, because I was still in his mind when this came up. So it was wonderful. He included me in on it.
I love the how authentic you are in your sharing, because I want people to take away from our show that regardless of what your situation is, there will be challenges and you have to find a way through. And not everybody's going to support you. Not everybody's on the bandwagon going, yes, go with that travel business, or yes, start a broadcasting platform, or whatever it might be. And so you have to find those people who will support you and help make your dream come true. A question I'd like to ask both of you, because I watch a lot of Shark Tank. I'm not big on watching TV, believe it or not. But on Shark Tank, we hear all the time Mr. Wonderful say, you've got a hobby. That's not a business. So how did you both know? How did you each know when you went from that hobby stage to having a business? I'll start with Hardeep.
That's a really good question. I think for me, it was when you realize that people are prepared to pay you for a service, because generally when you're doing something that's a hobby, you don't often get paid for it. It doesn't really get monetized in the same way. I think the time that we realize that, we have something that's real is when people keep coming back and they're prepared to pay for it. And then other people hear about it and they're prepared to pay more for it. And you think, wow, this is actually something that is quite real and scalable. I think sometimes when you do a hobby, it's something that you might do by yourself. It's not usually something that's a business that can grow and grow and grow. So I think for me, that's probably how I'd answer that question, Jacalyn.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Tarita?
Hobbies have made people a lot of money. Look at Martha Stewart. She had a hobby of baking, and now the woman is in a totally different financial category because she took her hobby and she said, you know what? Let me find other people that really enjoy doing this. Let me find people that want to learn how to make the perfect apple pie, whatever it may be. So that's really how travel is what I do, is that I know that our company supports people who are traveling with us from the time that they lock their door with the bags packed and off they go. We will support them all the way through their trip until they get back home. And that's what's important, is that you need to know, well, what happens if I'm in Tel Aviv and my wheelchair breaks? What do I do? We're there to give them who to go to, who to phone, and we will make sure that we help them and assist them. That's the thing, is you can't just take the person's money and say, thank you very much, but let's have a great trip. That's not how it works, because they need to be supported and accommodated, and the world is not fully accessible, and we realize that. So when they're traveling, they may run into some really big pitfalls that they need us to try to get them out of, and that's what makes us completely special and different, is that we believe that our clients are people who need us from the time that they're leaving, the time that they get home, that what if they need us something on the trip. We know that things can happen. We've had all kinds of interesting things I can tell you over the years that have happened when clients are traveling. We have had clients disappear, and I had suppliers, phoning me, emailing me, WhatsApping me, Skyping me, saying, "I'm here to pick this guy up, but he's not here." And so it's a lot of fun when we get, as silly as this may sound, but it's really empowering to know that we can help somebody who's across the world, and they come to us and say, a really, really big problem. This bed is way too high and I can't transfer my wheelchair onto this bed. What am I supposed to do? So we'll figure out, okay, well, what about getting a Hoyer lift? So we'll try that. If that doesn't work, then we'll move them to a different hotel. That's going to work for them. So there's things like that regular travel agencies aren't always aware of. There's lots of tricks to accessible travel, and you have to know them. You've got to have a long list of people that you can rely on and reach out to when someone's traveling and they need your help. And that is, it's empowering, really is, to know that we are the ones to go to. And we always say that we get it. That's the thing, is that we get it. I have people in my team actually that also have disabilities. I have one fellow who has a spinal cord injury, and he he loves life. And he says, so I can't do this. Well, you know what? I can still do this. So that's the way to look at it. Is I mean, I may not be able to. I used to run. I used to love running. I used to run every day. So when I see somebody running, I have to be honest. I feel a bit quite jealous. I miss running. I loved running in the rain. So I can't do that anymore. But I still get in my scooter and buzz about in the rain. It's different, but it's still doable. It's still something that is fun and a bit crazy, and that's really what it's all about, is enjoying life, taking what you can do and doing it, and forgetting what you cannot do, because there's so much they cannot do. And I used to work actually at a travel agency, and when I worked with people, and they were all able-bodied, and so they'd come into work and they'd be going on about, oh, life is this, blah, 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 blah. And I tell everybody, do not whine to me about how the life is bad for you. And I said to one of them one day, I said, can you go grocery shopping, take your bag of groceries, climb the stairs, get into your house, and put them away in the fridge? And they looked at me and they said, well, yeah. I said, well, I've not been able to do that in 20 odd plus years. So you know what? That is, think how blessed you are when you can go grocery shopping and walk up a flight of stairs carrying a bag of groceries in high heels. But I can't do that. But that's okay. I still can go grocery shopping. But it's different. I adapt. I've adapted my life, and I have great support system, great friends, great people who believe in me, and that's the biggest thing. Is there's days where I think that I just, oh, you know what? MS is not a fun disease. It's a painful disease. It's not one that is easily sustainable every day to get through it. But like Hardeep said, the only thing that gets me through it is the drive to have other people see places in the world that I've seen. And I think, oh, you know what? When they come back and they tell us, oh my gosh, you put me in a hotel in Egypt and I was right by the pyramids. Who would have thought that me, who can't walk, and I needed to have a sport person there to push the wheelchair? Who would have thought that I could ever do that? And I always tell them, you know what? Do us one favor and write that. Write something that, you know what? Who would have thought that I could do that? And how brilliant is it that we have the ability to make, I guess they're dream makers, but it's not. People will say, "No, you're so inspirational," and I well, let's say I don't want to be inspirational. I want to inspire people. There's a difference. I don't want them to be like me. I want them to do like me, and there's a different thing. So I don't want them to. I guess start a business and think, oh, I want to do. It's just like to find your own I guess niche. That the people call accessible travel a niche in product, which in many ways it really is a niche. But find something that is the niche and nobody else is doing it, or very few people are doing it. But you know what? Do it differently. That's what's going to make successful. Like Kaleidoscope, there is nobody out there who is investigating people that have disabilities. And I love the Shark Tank. I watch them all. And Mr. Wonderful, you know what? Everybody's got skeletons in their closet. So I don't know. But I think if tomorrow Mr. Wonderful was hit by a car and could not walk, I was paralyzed. How much personality, how much would you change? That's the thing. Is you don't know what it's like until you walk in somebody's shoes, roll in somebody's chair. So and I always think about those shows, and I love, one of my favorite is Mark. He owns every basketball team, and I've sent you actually emails, and I many emails, and I actually got a response back once And I said, "You think that what I'm doing is a great idea? Do you think this is doable?" And I got an email back from him that said yes. And that was $1 million answer for me. He didn't write a check and send it my way, but he did authenticate what I was doing, and that was really important. And I often feel always say to me, "Why aren't you going on the Shark Tank or Dragon's Den?" In Canada, we have Dragon's Den. And then, of course, there's Oliver. In the UK, there is a Shark Tank as well. So
Dragon's Den.
So it's all over the world. And I think, well, you know what? Maybe one day I would go and share what I do. But before I would do that, I would like to go with a really, really, really big amount of money that I already have. And the only reason that I would want to reach out to them is because they know a lot of people. So the more people that know about what we do, the more inclusive the world will become. So that's really one of the reasons. It's not to go to them to ask for money. I don't want to do that. I want people to look at what we're doing and think, "Hey, you know what? That's a company that I would like to invest in. I believe in what they're doing." And for instance, my partner investor, who actually in the U.S. as well, his name is Fred Moss Jr. And Fred was in an accident. He was younger and he's a wheelchair user. He is vice president of Comcast Foundation. He has many, many, many things, accolades that he can share with everyone. But he fully believes the same thing, that accessible travel is something that is really going to change the industry.
Tarita, I just want to interject you dropped so many powerful statements there and things that we need to have you back on to discuss. But one thing I wanted to share is that my corporate career was in the event space. So we sold meetings and events for huge corporations. And one thing that I really took away from that experience was things happen when you travel, whether you're in a group or you're by yourself. And when you go onto these websites and you book your tickets or you go directly to the hotel or whatever it is, there's nobody who has your back. There's nobody who can support you when things go wrong, and they do go wrong, and sometimes at a drastic level. So I think what you're doing is so important because there are not people out there doing this, obviously, as you found. And when you leave your country to go somewhere else, you're basically on your own. And to know that somebody is there for you, that they can advise you, that they can intercede on your behalf, that is really important and powerful. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. And Jacalyn, I have to say, when I travel, there's still a little bit of fear that I have. Even though I'm a travel agent, I know the world, I know the suppliers, there's still that bit of fear. Just because of the fact that you are leaving your comfort zone. Comfort zone is either your home or your city. You know where the best place to get a cup of coffee is. It doesn't have 5,000 stairs to get to. When you leave home, you have no idea. It is completely unknown to you. So we have to rely on them and tell people, you know what, this is where, and we will tell people, here's the best restaurants to go to that are accessible, and people will message us and say, where can I get a good cup of coffee in Dubai? And I actually got this from someone that is accessible, that I can get into. And I mean, you think like UAE, very, very powerful destination, very wealthy destination, are empowering and working in accessibility. We actually partner with Dubai Tourism. They are working at becoming accessible. There's still some things that they need to correct, but at least it's in the mindset that they want to accommodate. And it was brilliant. One of the words that they use for someone who has a disability is people of determination.
People of determination. That's right.
And I think how brilliant that is.
I love that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And the other thing that's amazing about Dubai is that they actually have a ramp that takes people straight into the sea, right? If you're in a wheelchair. So whenever I'm there, very often you walk past a beach and there's a wheelchair ramp, and it literally takes you into the water. It's amazing, amazing.
And I mean, Abu Dhabi as well has joined forces and is now also wanting to jump into this space. And there's lots and lots of places that are,
I think,
wanting
that
to.
are becoming. Well, I think, Tarita, listening to you today has been amazing. And as Jacalyn said, I mean, I think we absolutely have to get you back one day as somebody that's going to be mentoring other entrepreneurs, because I think your journey, and I have to say, I don't say this very often, Tarita, but actually listening to you today, and as Jacalyn said, how authentically you've spoken, has been really inspirational for me, actually. And I know you. That's a funny thing. You know, I know you. It's not that I don't know you, I know you. And yet you've said some things that are amazing about your journey, your disability, how actually it's become your strength, not your weakness. And I think you've given some entrepreneurs some incredible tips that are thinking about doing business and starting business going forward. And I particularly love two things that you said today that really resonated with me, is that when you want to start a business, you're going to get a lot of naysayers, right? Or first of all, you're going to get people that just say yes for the sake of it to make you think that it's a great idea. But then you're going to be surrounded by naysayers that like, don't do this, don't do that. And, you know, constantly searching and finding for that person that's going to believe in you, I think is really, really important. And then the other thing you said that I loved, so simple, is keep a pen and paper with you, because ideas, when you're an entrepreneur, I'm telling you, ideas come left, right, and center. And for me, my notepad is my phone, right? I mean, you know, whether it's a piece of paper and a pen, the minute you have a thought, it is really important to write it down. So I love that. And so, Tarita, thank you so much for taking the time to come onto the show today and to share so openly and candidly about your journey. I think it's been honestly incredible. Wouldn't you say, Jacalyn?
It's been fantastic. I've learned so much, and I can't wait to have you back, because I know there's so much more. And I actually am going to connect you with somebody who's in Canada. I think you guys will really connect well. I wanted to share that I have right here, I've got three notepads here that I'm constantly writing things down. Because you do think of things. And one thing I wanted to share as we close out is, I can't tell you how many times since I started this broadcasting platform, not as much anymore, I would get this question when people say, oh, well, you left your career, you left your salary. How much money are you making? How much money are you making? How much money are you making? Nobody would care about what I'm actually doing. It always equates to the dollar. So I just want people to be aware of that in the beginning, you're not making a lot of money. And if you really want it, if you're that passionate about it, you'll figure it out and the money will come.
Beautifully said.
Precisely.
Couldn't agree with you more. I have this quote that I use more recently, Jacalyn. It's something like, if you lead with purpose, then people will follow and profits will come. So if you lead with purpose, people will follow you and profits will come, which is exactly what you've just said, right? You'll figure it out. So I couldn't agree with you more on that one.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I think that's a great way to end our show for today. And Tarita, I'm going to put up your contact information, but for people who are on the radio and they're not able to see this, if you could just share your website and any other information that you want people to know, and who would you like to contact you?
I would like anyone who has a desire to travel but never thought they could. I would like businesses that see that there's a missing gap in what they do, that they'd like to learn more. I would like people who are struggling with not being employed. We love to help people who have various disabilities, who want to do different things. And it is such a wonderful thing to share that. So I'd love people to, I don't think I put my email address up there, but please do give us a call. We'd love to help. website is travel-4for-all.com. Take a look and you'll see that it is the places that we have on our website you would never think you could go to. That's what I'd like is anybody who wants to see the world, anybody who wants to change the world, that's what I'd like to talk to.
Thank you. And Tarita, what is your email address? I'll put it here in the comments.
So it's Tarita, my first name, so it's Tarita at travel-4for-all.com.
All right.
So I'd love to hear from you. And if you don't hear from me right away, it just means that you maybe went to my spam. I'll find you.
All right. Thank you. I just put the email address there as well. So it's wonderful meeting you. And again, I have a couple of people I'm going to connect you with. So I'll do that over on LinkedIn.
It was wonderful to meet you. And I'm so glad that you're deep. It was WhatsApp because I hadn't heard from him. I was getting a bit worried. So I sent a quick WhatsApp saying, "Hi, H, are you okay?" And then he told me about this program, and I'm so glad. Everything happens for a reason. See that last just a quick WhatsApp question.
Just goes to show, doesn't it? Like if
Yes.
something's, it was meant to be that today's slot was your
Yes,
slot.
that's
Tarita.
right.
Definitely.
It was meant to be.
Definitely. And Tarita, just so you know, we are on 11 platforms, but I would recommend that you go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV, and you can subscribe there. I'll just put it here. And you can watch the show. The show will be under the playlist of A World of Difference TV on YouTube. And of course, we're on LinkedIn and Business Talk Radio and Facebook and Twitter, on and on. But so that's the easiest thing. All right. Thank you again.
I'll share it. Everybody will see it.
All right.
Brilliant.
Wonderful. Thank you again. We'll look forward to having you back.
We'll talk to
Thank you, Tarita.
Take care. Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful Christmas.
Yes.
And
as
you
well.
too. Merry Christmas to you
Take
too. Thanks, Tarita.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye. I said before, I always feel so bad hitting the remove button because you have a great conversation going, but unfortunately, we have to close out for this show for the day. So, Hardeep, I would love to, as we end, if you could just talk a little bit about the post that you put today. I think it was today about the number of businesses that are run by disabled entrepreneurs, and speak a little to that. That'd be wonderful.
Sure. Well, one of the things that our investment business is always trying to do is raise the profile of disabled entrepreneurs. And very often when we think about disabled entrepreneurs, we think about people that will have a physical disability because, you know, what we see translates into what we judge. And therefore, very often, unfortunately, the world we live in doesn't give people with disabilities many opportunities to raise investment. So I did a study not so long ago, which is who are the people that are in the world that have actually founded businesses or been pivotal in growing businesses that have got disabilities, and particularly those that are hidden disabilities, whether that's, you know, on the autism spectrum, ADHD, dyslexia, whatever it might be, something that's not obvious. And actually we came across 11 different people, and that was the post that I put up today. And one of those that it's led by is good old Mr. Elon Musk, who spoke earlier this year about his disability, and he was mentioned in Forbes as being the richest person in history, not in the world, but in the history of the world. Just, you know, at the end of October. And then you know, I sort of mentioned that if you drive a Ford car, if you sit on furniture that's from IKEA, if you use an Apple device to communicate, if you wear Tommy Hilfiger clothing, if you're in an office and you're using Cisco networks, you know, all of these, if you watch a movie that's by Steven Spielberg, right, all our favorites, Jaws, Jurassic Parks, Indiana Jones, all of these products and services and companies were actually founded primarily by people that have disabilities. And in those 11 companies alone, they have almost 1 million employees, just in those 11 companies, almost 1 million employees. And they have a turnover, an annual turnover of over $700 billion. That's 11 companies turning over $700 billion per year. And then people have the cheek to say there's no track record of people with disabilities being successful. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, actually, what you don't realize is what's in your pocket and what's in your seat and what you're wearing is all designed by people that have had disabilities or that have got disabilities. So I'm really going on a mission now, Jacalyn, to begin to really promote this, that, what you perceive to be disability can be disability in many different forms, but it's exceptionally talented. And therefore, if you are investors or people that want to get involved in these sorts of things, then actually you can still make really good money and yet at the same time have a significant social impact and help people that really deserve to be helped.
Wow, that is so powerful. I am so glad that you brought that to light and that you put it in writing for the world to see, because I think people just don't even think about that. You're right. All these companies designing these things. Something else I wanted to add when you just said about what we think about disabilities, and I should have mentioned this to Tarita, but as you know, I have ulcerative colitis. I'm in remission, but I want to know where the bathrooms are. If I'm going someplace, I don't care if it's a restaurant. I want to know, what is the bathroom situation like? They have high ceilings, and people don't want to talk about it. But the point is, I just want to leave people with is, it might be something to a person that's so unimportant, but to me, that could be life-changing. That could be what I'm saying. So we have to stop labeling people and just looking at people for what we see on the external side, because we have no idea. To Tarita's point, until you're in somebody else's place, you don't know.
Absolutely. That's a really powerful point you just made there, Jacalyn. So thank you for saying that, because it makes a lot of people feel comfortable that even someone like you with a hidden disability, because people will see you and they'll never imagine that you're in that situation, actually still has those same thoughts as somebody that may physically be in a wheelchair and think about exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's we have to be authentic. We have to just be real. That's what this is all about, right?
Very much so. I have to say, Jacalyn, I've loved today's show, actually. And I think that Tarita really set a tone that was so calm and so authentic and so real, yet so powerful at the same time. I just love listening to her.
Me too. And one of my biggest takeaways from her is that she doesn't want to inspire people. She wants them to aspire to do the things that they want to do but are afraid to do. And she gives them the ability to travel around the world, knowing that with her own personal experience, her education, her connections, her network, that she is there to make sure that you feel special on your trip as you travel. And that means a lot. And as I mentioned, I've got 20 some years experience in the industry with events, and we would focus on what's the plan B if it rains and you have to bring everybody into the ballroom, right? But things would happen. People would die on trips. And how do you get their body back? How do you deal with their family? We had somebody who slipped and fell in another country and had to be airlifted, and they didn't have a hospital where we were. So, I mean, these things happen. So if you have somebody like Tarita who knows about the destinations, knows about the medical facilities, knows about the best places to eat, knows where you're going to feel safe and comforted, how you can have accessibility to do the things that you want to do, you need to hire her. You need to call her. You need to have her work with you. Let's put her information up again, because I just feel that it's a priority. All right, here we go.
Very beautifully said.
All right. Well, thank you again. I'm so excited about this show. I'm going to be replaying it 3 or 4 times this week, and I will tag you and Tarita so that you can share it. And again, if anybody missed it, wants to see it right away, we're live right now, so you can go to any and all of our platforms and you can see it right now and start from the very beginning. All right, Hardeep, we are going to say goodbye for now, and I'll just ask people to continue watching. And if you want to be a guest on the show, you can go to drjacalyn.com, book your session. You can reach out to Hardeep, you can reach out to me, and we'll be happy to talk to you and help you share your story.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jacalyn, for a wonderful show, and I look forward to seeing you again at the same time next week.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you as well. Thank you, Tarita. Thank you, everybody, for watching and for listening on Business Talk Radio. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.